I'm excited we're talking
Yes.
about politics.
Yes.
That's your turf as a political scientist.
Yes.
So Prof,
Yes.
does that mean that was what accounted for the initial, squabbles in the National Assembly?
Yes. You see, let me tell you, you saw Saraki was not part of the Buhari network, nor of the Tinubu network. It did not necessarily have to kowtow to what they want. It was part of the PDP. People who had 16 years of experience of political intrigues, political maneuvering. And so we don't owe this man, this Tinubu man, any allegiance. We don't belong to him. And so they did their own thing and manipulated themselves into power in the Senate and the House of Representatives. These are things, and unfortunately, Buhari himself was aloof initially from it because he was not really schooled in party politics. It was not.
Was it right for him to have been aloof? Because he had said he wasn't going to interfere.
No, it was not. It was not, because he needed to make sure that his party was working.
So the president should have moved in immediately.
This is informal consultation. Dictates to people. You just call them, this is who I want. The president carries a lot of legitimacy and power. If you stay aloof, because maybe he was still trying to concede that aspect to Tinubu, to say, oh yeah, you go ahead and manage the National Assembly. But the people in the National Assembly were not ready to allow Tinubu to control them, because they were never, many of them were never part of his acolytes. So they rebelled. It was only Buhari that could have prevented that rebellion.
You know why I brought this perspective?
Yes.
Because some of the nominees will ultimately end in the National Assembly for confirmation.
Yes.
So the way and manner the leadership has emerged in the National Assembly for the Senate and the House of Representatives, do you think that is one of also the reasons we're having this delay in constituting the cabinet? Perhaps they're trying to see if they can amend or mend the ways with the National Assembly.
I have a feeling they have gotten beyond that.
They've gotten beyond
Yeah,
that.
I think they've confirmed service chiefs and a few other people. I think they've gotten beyond the quarrel. I'm sure that those in the National Assembly would not want to be on the bad side of the president.
But
Yes.
Prof, service chiefs can't be on the same pedestal as politicians who will be coming in as ministers.
Yes. I think that they will be able to manage. They've already learned their lessons. I assume they have. They eventually were able to resolve their dispute in the House of Representatives, although they glossed over the one in the Senate. So, but I think the Senate is a more mature chamber, and they know that they cannot fight the president. It is not in their interest to fight the president, because they will be fighting themselves.
I remember speaking to Professor Rufai Alkali at that time, and he did say, when I did ask him, why is it that you all have just come into office when you're thinking about the next election? He said, look, that's what happens in politics.
Yes.
When they're elected, they have to start thinking about the election. So I'm asking, if you say they've gotten over it, you really think they have?
No, in terms of the ability to work together, for the executive and the legislature to work together, it's not in the interest of their party to be seen to be quarreling, because the platform on which they won the election was that they were going to bring change to Nigeria, and that change can only be achieved if there's synergy between the various institutions and arms of government. So I'm not sure they want to advertise themselves as being a clog in the wheel of progress by denying the president his nominees for positions, people that he will need to use to govern. So I guess that they have enough sense. I'm sure they are also political survivalists. I don't think that Saraki will want to continue to badge his head against the president, because quite honestly, he has some skeletons that he will not want unleashed. So there are things that can be used.
I don't know about that, Prof. we don't know anything, we don't know anything about skeletons, and we won't want you to go further on that. But very frankly, the old ways, different blocks would nominate people for ministerial appointments, governors, or even sometimes some traditional rulers. It all depends on how influential you are. We get into here, we now have a president who's saying that, well, he's going to go all out to get the best for us as a people. Don't you think that with the different camps from the National Assembly and political leaders that would want to give or nominate some people for the president, there might also be some issues when it comes to confirmation in the National Assembly? If, for instance, if they have their own man on the list, and their own man doesn't make the president's list, do you think they will have an easy ride on the floor or in the chamber of the National Assembly?
Well, I can only assume, just from looking from experience, that the people in the National Assembly will not push their luck. That they know Buhari very well. They know that he will want to nominate his own men that he thinks can work with him. And I'm sure they would want to support him to that extent. I'm not sure they will be contesting. It is not their privilege. It's not their right to nominate ministers. So, although politically, the president can ask the president of Senate, please bring me one person. They do that. Give me one nominee. If he does not do it, he doesn't owe them that. It's just courtesy, political courtesy.
You know, Prof, we're going to wind down with this one. I mean, many say that no matter what you do politically, the economy is key. For those who are there, they think they haven't exactly seen enough indications as to what exactly do we expect in terms of economy. We can't keep waiting to invest without knowing what do we do.
Well, one of the things that you want to talk about in the economy is first to block waste. You know, and I think that the president is capable of doing that. He's already given that notice. He's saying, take out money to the central bank, all monies earned by this money earning parastatals should go to the central bank, so that we know we have a handle on what we have. Because if you have 50 million naira and 30 million is stolen, then you are just reduced to 20 million. But if you can make sure that only 10 million is stolen, because some of it will still be stolen. Don't let us deceive ourselves that corruption will end Nigeria in 1 minute. Some of it, if you reduce the amount that leaks, then in fact you may even have more to deal with than when oil was selling at $100. Now, of course, our economy is also dependent on the vagaries of the international economy. Now, oil prices keep plummeting. I was watching the Iranian oil minister saying, well, we are not going to hold back on our production. Now that we have an agreement with you on nuclear weapons, we are going to produce. And Iran is producing at 2.8 at present. They are capable of going to 4 point something. Between Iran and Iraq, if they are producing full blast, they will equal Saudi Arabia. That means that there will be an oil glut. And so our economy is likely to suffer from that. Whatever Buhari does, all he can do is block wastage. Don't let us steal too much of this money. Let us make sure that every naira counts in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the standard of living of the people, creation of jobs, and so on. All those things cannot happen in 100 days. They can only happen with consistent policies, doggedly implemented.
Policies, many say they've not exactly seen some of those policies that they're looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, well, you don't have a Minister of Finance. You don't have an Attorney General. So maybe in the next couple of days or weeks, we'll begin to, but the point is that 100 days are not adequate. It's not an adequate period for meaningful assessment of a regime.
So is it a honeymoon period?
Well, I'm not sure that Buhari is on honeymoon. I'm sure it's working.
All right, thank you, Prof. Professor Femi Otubanjo speaking to us today about his perspective on the journey so far.